Hey, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and this is my favorite stage of construction. When you've been through such a mess, such a challenge, and it's all cleaned up. If you were here, a week or two ago, you'd see just a mess everywhere, and it really gets to you. But you know that you keep pushing through, and pretty soon you get through all that rough framing and foundation and dirt work, and now you're starting on actually applying some finish to the home. And I'm excited about that. We're here up in Pine Valley looking at the Pioneer home. This is over 100 plus 50-year home. The first part of the home is older. The second part of the home is is a little newer than that. And I'm actually restoring the entire structure. You've seen on some previous posts, we did a complete new foundation underneath his home. Literally, we dug down 3 feet underneath the home, jacked it up 3 inches with several multi-ton jacks, put in a new foundation, and gingerly set the home on the new foundation. So this home is not going anywhere. It's going to be around much longer than it has been in around so far. So I'm happy to be the next phase of the next 150 years. Let's walk through the home. I'll walk through the outside first, show you some of the things we've done, why we've done them, and then I'll go inside the home and look at some of the old structure, the old framing structure, and a lot of it we had to preserve, mainly for historical preservation, but also because it was just structurally sound. So I'm going to walk you through some of that. But first, let's look at the outside. Okay, the biggest issue we've had with this home is water. Water. You can see how it carves through the Grand Canyon. It will destroy your home if you don't ameliorate that problem as soon as you possibly can. So again, we've got a spring up here, and as we dug into the foundation on some previous posts, we found moisture, we found water. So one of the things we did is as we poured the foundation, we actually have a perforated pipe right here, and that goes around the outside of the foundation. You can't see it, it's like 3 feet down, but it daylights right here. So if there's some massive flooding or a lot of water, it has a place to go. We'll actually continue that in the spring when we try to touch up with the landscaping here. We'll daylight that beyond the hill over here, and we have another one on the other side of the house. But let me show you a couple of things we've done along the skirt of the home. I love to skirt homes with concrete. It actually keeps the water away from the foundation, and on this home it was a must. So we literally skirted the home and we have it concave, so water is not going to come back into the home. It's going to come right down here and into this nice open grass area. So we're literally keeping water away from this home. The other thing is that my concrete subcontractor actually created a concrete lift on the outside, so that when I actually put on the siding material, we'll actually put some flashing down behind the paper, and we'll actually install the shiplap after I get that installed. But that'll be behind the paper, of course. Doing everything we can to keep water away from the home, because I've got wood right here. If you were to peel it back, I got wood substrate right there. And it's the wood sheeting that comes all the way to the top of that. So I do not want water to wick back behind there. Luckily, it's off the ground. We're good there. Same thing here. We're going to put some siding material over the top of that. And this whole deck is going to be decked with a nice synthetic coat. I want to show you something on the other side that was also water related. That was a great thing that we came up with at the last minute. Let me show you over here. We had to take out it was an old kind of a piece of concrete through here, but it was tilting toward the home. So any water that would come off the hillside, it would come right back into the home. We didn't want that. So we actually put in a new skirt here and have a real positive slope, again, away from the home. But we did something more over here. We actually have a basin to capture water. Now there's a huge lean-to roof over here. We'll eventually put a rain gutter over here, take it over to the side and bring it over here, and it will go right into this drainage. And you can see I've got a pipe right down there. Now that's not continued. It will actually fill up with water. If you were to put water in here, and that whole pit would fill up with water. But eventually in the spring, we can come down, and I've told the clients about this. Something I solved right away, and later on with landscaping, that can continue all the way down and feed those pine trees down there. So now when water comes down here, and we can have 4, 5, 6 feet of snow out here, and it could all pile up here. And if it's draining off here and it's piling up here, you could have just a massive massive amount of water and ice buildup here. So we wanted to solve for that. So if it's able to come down here and we can actually have a heated rain gutter. So it has a place to go and it's going to be extricated and pulled away from the home. Water is just the thing I can't stand. If I can solve for water, I know I'm going to have this thing last for a very, very long time. Let's go inside and I'll show you some of the framing structure. Okay, we're on the porch right now. And originally we had some 4x4 posts up here. I don't like 4x4 posts, even though they can hold the compression strength. The posts that were originally here weren't really holding the weight of the snow load up above. So we actually increased these to fit with the more mountain look of the home. And so we actually put the whole new porch is basically all new because it was so bad. It was sagging all over the place. But we have some really hefty beams up here so that if they wanted to, and I'll let my clients know this, if they wanted to, they could actually hang some swings on here and it wouldn't be a problem. We can support that weight. And I think they might want to do that. And to imagine what it was like, 150 years ago, swinging on a swing right here. We can actually do the same here. Here's a trick question. There's two front doors. If you can mention why there's two front doors, I'd like to know what your thoughts are. I won't let you know what I know, but if you can explain why there's two front doors, I'd like to hear what you think about that. Okay, we're inside now, and a couple of things I just wanted to show you. We're on the new subfloor right now, and that subfloor is the exact same height as the porch. But we did do a bubble slope, a 1/4 inch bubble slope on the porch so it drops down so water's not going to come into the home. You see, I talk about water a lot. I never want it coming into the home. But we've got floor joists underneath this subfloor and they go all the way out to the porch and they capture it. And we've got a foundation right where the cameraman is standing, another foundation out there by the porch, and another one over here. So we're capturing a lot of weight and it's all now nice and level now. But inside here, we had to do a whole new floor system up here. This was the worst room. And rather than take out the old lumber, we basically put in new lumber right side by side the old rough sawn timber. That just added more strength to it. And it solved us from having to do so much demo because our lumber costs were a little more on this job because we're having to replace so much timber that was either rotted or destroyed. We did preserve a lot of things, like up in here, in this wall here, we've got a lot of these beams you'll see that were what you would consider lateral support or shear support. And we couldn't take any of those out, so we had to work around a lot of those. And you'll see those over here on this window. Over here, we had to increase the size of the window for proper egress, and we had to lift the window off the ground, again per code. And then as a result, we were very close to that timber, so we actually made it, but we couldn't take that out because that goes all the way up above, and it comes all the way down over here as well. And in some of the rooms upstairs, it's pretty insane as well. We came real close to not being able to have the windows fit. And so we actually got the windows in, and a lot of people have been asking me about windows. What do you recommend on windows? And I really can't recommend windows because there's so many brands out there and they're regional, and windows are typically manufactured as close as possible to where there's build taking place because the transport of windows is not that easy. There's typically a lot of breakage when you're transporting them overseas or over a great distance. But these came to me, and these are from Sierra Pacific. And what I liked about them is that they came with protection guards. So I've got a protection guard on the outside and I've got protection guard on the inside. So when drywallers come in, they're not going to just nick this to heck because it is a wood clad window. I've got a brown vinyl on the outside and I've got wood on the inside. And so I didn't want those to be damaged. I was happy to see that come in like that. And you can see it on the outside too. There's protection on the outside. So Sierra Pacific, they came through with some great windows for us. Let's go upstairs. I wanted to show you one or two things upstairs and then we'll end that. And these guys want to come in and start making some more noise. So let's go upstairs. Okay, we're upstairs now and we found this old 10 to 11 inch T&G flooring, and it's a little bit skewampus in places, but it's classic. And it's got that old floorboard look, and so we didn't want to destroy that. So there's several planks inside here that we had to fix and glue, and repair. But you can see they had knots back in the day. So they would just actually cover those knots with a piece of tin can, just like that. And I think that's cool. I've done that many times before on some floorboards with knots, but you don't get flooring like this anymore. And so we really didn't want to destroy that. And you can see that the roof system is all brand new. We didn't tear out any of the old original framing. We just built right next to it. So that actually shored up the support of this, because the original roof had some huge divots in it because of the snow load that was up here. This new roof now can hold just a ton of snow up there because we just basically doubled it up. But what's interesting is you can see what would be the original 2x4. This here is 2¼ inches wide, and it was at that time a true 2x4 basically. Over time you see 2x4 shrink. So you see the new 2x4 here, and you see the old 2x4 there. And it's kind of interesting to see how things shrinkflation, I think that's what you call it, shrinkflation. That's still structurally sound, but it's interesting to actually build new right up against the old and see the old timber and the rough sawn timber at the time. And the last thing I just wanted to mention, there's so much about this home that's unique. This here is basically, and I mentioned this on a previous post, but this is the chimney stack. The chimney stack on the east side was too far gone. We end up having to take that out, but we were able to make sure we saved this one because we encased the bottom of it in probably 5 yards of concrete, so it's not going anywhere. And we shored it up with framing below and framing up above. But you notice here, like I've mentioned, there's some stack access here, and I think they had a little potbelly stove up here and it ran up that way and up and out. So we're actually not going to enclose this. We're going to leave it open, and I have a girl who will come up and do some repointing of this, and you just touch it up with some new pointing, and that's basically grout. Pointing is called grout. And just to kind of smooth it out and see if we can just keep it preserved like that. Because it's neat. This is adobe, like I mentioned. This is not Portland cement or bricks or brick pavers or any kind of masonry. This is adobe. They actually manufactured this down by the river where there's just some silt mud, and they put it in a little wood box, and then they let it dry and cure, and they come here and they put more milk, more, you can actually dig away at this. It's like dirt, you know, solidified dry dirt is what it is. So it's very, very tenuous. You don't want to hose that down. It wouldn't withstand anything. So we've encased the chimney up above. So we are not going to have the chimney exposed anymore. We're just going to preserve it, and it's going to be wrapped in an aluminum patina metal, and it will look really, really cool. But inside we'll leave this exposed because I think it's cool. And the client said, good, let's leave it exposed. So I'm okay with that. There's a lot going on right now with the job. One thing that's interesting is that the doors back in the day, people were not as tall. My grandfather was 5'7", and in his old place he had low doors like this as well. And so we didn't change any of the doors. We kept them the way they are, especially the ones up here and a couple downstairs. But I wanted to show one more thing downstairs that comes to my mind that's very important, that why we had to do this one thing that was a major thing. Let's go down and show you that one item, and then we'll be done. Okay, this is the one thing we really had to do some major structural things on. This whole wall is a new 2x6 wall, resting right on it. Actually, it's cantilevered on a foundation that's right here. Here's where the new foundation is, down below, and we have floor joists going this way, and it's resting right on those floor joists. But this wall was so bad we had to just repair the whole wall. But we beefed it up, made it a 2x6 wall, and on top of that we added some lateral support. One of the things we really didn't have on this house was a lot of sheer lateral support this way. We have a lot of support this way, which is, vertical compression support, but we didn't have a lot of lateral support. And you can see that they have lateral supports here. Up in the upstairs, you saw a couple beams, cross beams going that way. That's how they dealt with lateral support back in the day. Well, what we do is called shear, and we typically just add some OSB on one wall, and we call that our shear wall. So I didn't have anything supporting this way, and so we added it here in this middle wall to solve for that challenge. A lot of things are going to be happening here to really finish this up. Doors are going to get installed. Windows were installed today. but I've got to deal with some chimneys and some flues and I got to hook up an old Pioneer stove, which is outside here. So I want to try to get it wrapped up because I want to just let it sit so that when the spring comes, we can finish the outside landscaping, paint it. I can't paint it in this cold weather, and there's a lot of things we'll do in the springtime. But weather's been great, and I've been happy about that. No mud outside, and as a result, we've been able to pump this out and get it done, get it this far done. So this is an update on the very old Pioneer home in Pine Valley, Utah, and this is Keith Gauch with How to Build Your Own Home.